on, you guys? Brooks again from Anderson. Today's video is about taking a look at some of the other cars I would like to own besides the AMGs that are currently in the stable. There's lots of other cars that I'm interested in, other models, other makes. So we're going to go through a list that I've compiled of real cars that are for sale right now, whether it be Craigslist, through Auto Tempest, or wherever else. I want to just find kind of real examples. Take it with a grain of salt, because not all of them I would be fully interested in the way they are. But yeah, let's just go through them. I made the list from cheapest to most expensive. So in real world, for the ones that I was looking for, it might not work out that way, but it's just the ones that I happen to find for this list. So let's jump into it. You guys see the first one on screen right here. It's a 99 E55 AMG, so W210. Now, you guys saw from the video the other day talking about how I really wanted a W210 E55 before, and it's still true. I still see them pop every once in a while, and I really want them, but it just doesn't make sense right now. But if I did get one, I really would want a 99. I like the body style of it before they updated. I know the newer, like after 2000, 2001, they look cooler, kind of. But I don't know, something I really like about this body style. I don't know, it seems kind of like retro in a way, which is kind of cool. Now, this one has the Designo, or Designo, however you want to say it, interior, the kind of dove gray and black. Now you can see this one obviously has a lot of miles. Now that wouldn't really scare me away from a car like this. It's a 1999, that means it's been driven a fair amount in its time, but not anything excessive for being 21 years old, and still looks in really good shape. Yeah, I mean, if I was in the market, especially for the price, $3,900, and you could probably negotiate that down a bit, I would definitely go take a look at this one. And if it ran good and things checked out, I would have no problem buying this, because of the reputation these cars have for being so reliable and strong for a long time. So yeah, especially if it showed like one or two owners, I would pick this up in a heartbeat. So anyways, moving on, let's go down the list, see what else we got. So this is like a dark horse. Now, I would not recommend anybody just go out and buy this car. The C5 RS6 is notorious for being kind of a money pit in a sense. The twin turbo V8 is somewhat stout, but the transmissions, I guess, are notorious for kind of just going out whenever they feel like it. But the reason I put this one up, just because it caught my eye the other day, is kind of made me start thinking, like, would I try something like this? And I've always loved Audis, but I just haven't found one that would be, at least reputation-wise, reliable enough for me to really go after, except for a few, which we'll get into because there are a few more coming up. But this is one of those ones that makes you want to stay away from Audi from the stories. But, if you could maybe negotiate this a little more down and you had some money to play with, it's a lot of car for the money. Twin turbo V8. I think it's somewhere around above the range of 400 plus horsepower and torque. You can tune them to make more than that. And this one's still in really good shape. Now, it does have a rebuilt title. I'm not one that's really scared of those if you know the story and you check it out properly. I've had a couple rebuilt title cars and never had any issues with them. All the cars I have right now are all clean title, but we had a Toyota Echo before as like a commuter that we got that had a rebuilt title. But yeah, like it never had any issues, and I knew exactly the story of what happened. So if you know the story and it's not too bad, it's worth taking a look at. So this is another dark horse. I would love to like just go test drive this car just to see what these are like. Yeah, I'd test the waters. Moving on to an Audi I would love to own. I really love these. The old C4 URS6 or the URS4. I would be interested in either one. The URS6 would be my first choice. But these are really cool cars. And this one is down in Oregon. Looks really clean. It's had some updates. So it's got the Porsche bigger calipers. It's got the 5-spoke, the stock wheels. It has some upgrades according to what they have on the kind of listing. Interior still looks really good. It seems like Audi's seats, they hold up really well. Like the leather they use, all the old Audis I see from like mid 90s, the leather is always in really good shape. It looks like maybe some crack in there on the dash, but I love the steering wheel. I love the gauges that they have in these cars. I just really love these kind of nostalgic Audis, the Quattros. I don't know, there's something about them that's just really appealing. So yeah, I would love to own one of these. This is 170,000 miles. For its years, that's pretty low. And for the price, I don't know if I'd be comfortable paying this much for something like this, but if I could find one for between like 8 to 10,000 and it was in good shape, I would be open to it. So moving on. So I also love domestics. I love old schools, but they're so hard to find nowadays unless you really want to build one up from the ground up, which if I had time, I would totally take it on. Maybe someday, but for now, let's look at a modern day one, or more modern, that I would like to have. This is the Trailblazer SS. Very, very good platform, entry-level platform for people to get in and kind of make good power and have a fun, practical daily driver. The only thing that these are known for that you need to switch out is the oil pan. The baffling on it, for some reason, is not known to do well with any type of spirited, zigzaggy driving. I guess it kind of can starve the motor. So that's one thing you need to swap out, but the oil pan is not really hard to change in this particular model, and not a expensive fix by any means if you're going to do it by yourself. So some people have even modified the stock one. They just put like different baffles in it, or there's aftermarket ones that make different pans for it. So yeah, this one, not a fan of the Harley Davidson mats, but I don't really care. It looks to be in clean condition. I've seen these go for a wide range of prices depending on the mileage, but this one is actually one of the better priced ones I've seen for the mileage in the past few months. 13,000 for 120,000 miles. I've seen a few cheaper, but they may have more miles. I did see a really nice one a few months ago that was around 18,000. That was like supercharged and had less than 100,000 miles, I think. It was a private owner. So that's the kind of deal that I would look out for, rather than something like this. But just showing you guys again the car itself and real world examples that are for sale right now. So moving on, much different ballpark. I would really love to own either a 1JZ GTE or a 2JZ GTE sedan. Now, those are going to be Japanese imports because we didn't get any sedans that had either of those engines in America. But there is an importer. I have lots of importers, being near Seattle and Oregon. There's lots of import shops, especially now with the laws that are changing, that are importing a lot of good cars for relatively cheap. Like they do all the hard work of getting it imported, all that stuff, and then you just are trying to buy it. So they've taken care of the hard work out of it. And I mean, this car only has 14,000 miles. That's pretty crazy. Now, it's also kind of scary because if a car's been sitting forever, that could be just as bad as having a high mileage situation. So it all depends on how the car was cared for, what the inspection was like. But this particular vendor is known for really high quality imports in my area. So I would be comfortable trusting what they have. And then the other one I'll show you guys, same kind of boat. Now, actually, the same seller had this JDM Cars and Motorcycles in Seattle had an Aristo a few months back for around 14,000 that only had like 20,000 miles. Was much cleaner than this one. I mean, this one's clean, but I would prefer a stock, more stock setup, depending on the modifications. This one doesn't look too modified, but just the wheels have been swapped out, it looks like, maybe a few other things. But yeah, I would love to own something like this. Super practical, plenty of power, plenty of modification options, really reliable, well-known drivetrain. Now, these do come with automatic transmissions. There's ways you can swap them, but a buddy of mine actually has a 95 Supra, the twin turbo or GTE twin turbo, and he has automatic, and he's pushed it. I think he's making like 500 plus horsepower right now, and he's had no issues with the automatic transmission, and it's got a lot of mileage actually too. So, I mean, they shift a little slow, yeah, compared to modern day, but they're still relatively stout for what they are, being a mid 90s automatic. Toyota, they've been known for being one of the few ones that was smart enough to outsource their transmission to specialists. I'm forgetting the name of the specialist off the top of my head. What's it called? Anyways, I'll pop it up on screen, but I'm forgetting the name of them right now, the transmissions. So moving on, another different ballpark. Now, I would love to own one of these. The 996s or a 997, but 996 is really the affordable generation right now of the Carreras or the 911s. So this is an example I found. It seems like California has a lot better prices for 996s right now compared to the Seattle area. And it wasn't that way just like a month ago, which is weird. It feels like people are catching on to the 996s and they've started going up in price up here. But like this one, what's it got? So the story on this one kind of has a story. 50,000 miles on a swapped engine. It says guy before him blew up the previous engine using on the track, and a shop down there basically had a rebuilt 3.4 liter, and they swapped it in and then sold it to this guy. He said he's had no issues with it, selling it. Now, take everything with a grain of salt. This is Craigslist, but things could be reality, so you always got to check things out to know if what's a real story and really thoroughly inspect them. But this is just an example. I would love to own a 996 base model all the way up. Now, my price range doesn't really meet for a turbo or something like that, but I would just love to have the experience of even the 3.4 liter. The 3.6 is what I would prefer, but as long as it's manual and it's been taken care of, and it's either has the IMS bearing that's known not to go out like the early models, or it's had the IMS done like this one says it has, I would be interested. So I would love to have one of these one day. I do plan on it, so yeah, we'll see. Okay, here is the strong Audi that actually a few months ago I was strongly considering going for, but just decided to hold off and ended up getting the M155. So this is RS4. This is one of Audi's kind of relatively, from enthusiasts at least, best cars they've ever put out. It's a 6-speed, naturally aspirated V8. Beautiful car. Like I love the shape of these cars. And just the fender flares that they put on, the wheels that come standard. The interiors are super cool. The engine bay is spectacular. Not exactly the easiest to work on from the space they give you, but it's just a beautiful car. And from the test drives that I've watched and things, people's reviews on them, people seem to love this car and love to drive it. So I would love to at least test drive one of these. It'd be cool to make a video on this, actually going to test drive one and recording it for you guys. But yeah, this one, 136,000 miles for 16 grand, 17 grand. I'd look for a better deal, but this is just something that was out there. To be honest, this is, like it says, it's a good deal. I would maybe look for maybe a little bit higher mileage one that was for cheaper actually, like maybe 150,000 miles in the 12, 13 grand range. Um, it all depends, you know. You gotta weigh things out. Depends how they're taken care of. I got no problem spending a little more money if I know the car's been taken care of a lot better. So yeah, but I would love to have one of these. Moving on, ISF. I don't want the new ones, but I would love to have the first gen ISF. Another naturally aspirated V8. It's automatic, but these transmissions are known to be really strong, really quick shifting for that time period. I believe they're 7 or 8 speeds. I can't remember off the top of my head. Another car that fetches good money for high mileage. This is when I 125,000 miles, asking 18.5. I've seen really good deals on these, and then I've also seen crazy deals like, you know, above $30,000 for, you know, 60,000 mile cars. So these ones hold their value really well. So I don't know if I'll ever get to have one of these or if I would ever kind of dive into one. But, you know, I've seen people pick them up at auction too with relatively easy fixed problems for cheap. So they are out there if you really want one. Search. You might find a good deal on one, or one that you could fix up for relatively cheap. So great car, super reliable V8. I would love to have one of these. Okay, now we're getting into the upper echelon of money wise of what I would actually. I don't think I would ever pay more than like 15, 20 grand for a car, if I'm telling the truth. I just don't think it's worth it in the long run. Even if I was making a ton of money, I don't know. I just don't think I would do it. I feel like there's so many cars that are below that limit of money that I could entertain myself for long enough below that price point and would never have to venture above it. But, you know, we'll see. Things change, but for now, I just don't see the practicality of it. I'm just like that. I don't know why, but yeah, I like these kind of cars much more than any like supercars or anything like that, big money cars. So this is big money for me compared to what I would spend on cars. But this is a beautiful example of a C63, 33 grand. Now I chose this for a reason. Okay, it is expensive, but it's got really low mileage. It's after the head bolt era, the bad head bolt era. Which was, I think, any car after 2012, and then some of the 2011s got fixed too, but for sure any car after 2012, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but the reason I picked this one is because it has a lot of the upgrades that you would end up spending money on most likely to do. So it would be cool to get a car like this that's already had them done, because the person that owned this probably spent a lot more than what they're selling it for, to first off buy the car and then add all the modifications. Like this right here itself is probably $400 for the front lip. Side skirts, same thing, like the rear diffuser. The wheels are super dope. The brakes are dope. It's got the interior I like. I don't care about the wood trim, but I could easily swap that out or just leave it. It doesn't bother me. I like black interiors, or at least solid color interiors better than others. Yeah, this one just looks super clean. Now, I would risk it. I would get the first gen ones, to be honest. I've seen 2008s and 2009s go for, let me take a look real quick what's up here. But I've seen them go for a lot less money. Like this is even higher than what I've seen in the past few months. I've seen a couple of 2008s for like around 11 grand, with relatively decent mileage, like 130,000, 140,000. What's this one? 58,000. So I don't know, like some of these cars have had the head bolts done because the first owners or previous owners took them in to get it done. So don't be scared by the first model years, because you never know. Could have had the wrinkles ironed out already. So yeah, C63 is hard to say. I would love to own one of those, but I don't know. I'm happy with my C55. I don't think I could get rid of it for a C63 just yet. Maybe down the road. All right, way out of the realm of what we've been doing so far, but this is one of my dream cars. The Grand National, the GNX specifically. I just love these cars. I've loved them since I was a kid. I love the body shape of these old Regals of this generation. Call me weird. My wife thinks I'm weird for like why do you like this old grandpa car? But I don't know. I really love these cars. I love the straight across tail lights. They just look super mean. If you build them right and do them right, they just look so cool. Like, and they sound really cool compared to other cars. And you can make them pretty damn fast if you do them right. So this one looks relatively stock, but just a really clean example. I don't think I could ever come around to spending 40 grand on 1987 Grand National, but if I found like an old Regal Turbo and, you know, converted it, tribute car, it's in the realm of possibility. But yeah, love this shape, love these cars. So moving on. It's a really clean example. Moving on though. All right, this is an interesting one because these are slowly starting to creep down in price. I used to never find them for less than like 60 grand for clean ones. Now you can find crash ones and all that BS for build type stuff, but for clean ones that are not shredded, I didn't used to see them for less than like 55, 60. But as of recently, I've been starting to see them for like 35 to 45, like this one. 45 grand for a clean title with less than 60,000 miles. Now, yes, a lot of money. But if you wanted to, you know, finance a car like this and you were comfortable making the payment and insurance and all that stuff, this is a lot of car for the money. And relatively low miles. It looks like it has some clean modifications on it, tasteful stuff, nothing crazy. I don't like the white seats, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, or whatever color that is. I don't like light interiors that much, but man, for the money, if this thing's been taken care of and it has a good story, I would totally do something like this. This is the kind of car that I would spend a lot of money for. So yeah. And then the last one on this list, now there's lots of other cars that I would like, but keep this video relatively simple. I would love to own the Quadrifoglio. Now I need to wait for years to go by to see if these things are actually reliable, but man, these cars look impressive to drive and fun to drive and would be a pretty dope daily driver to have. Tons of power, awesome transmission, kind of built from Ferrari. It supposedly has the Ferrari California V8, I believe, just like 2 cylinders lopped off basically. It's a twin turbo V6. I think it's like a 8 or 9 speed transmission. Super nice. I love this color on them too. I love the wheels, the stock wheels that are on here. And I love the little Quadrifoglio insignias that they use. Super cool car. But these are still fetching a premium. You can't even find these on Craigslist most of the time, or like Auto Tempest even. I had to go straight to actual Alfa Romeo dealership somewhere near me. So, yeah, I would love to have one of these cars. Honorable mention, I guess I could go search it real quick. But honorable mention, I would love to have I forget which generation this is, B8.5 or B9, I can't remember, but I would love to have the S4 of this generation, the twin turbo V6, I believe it is. Later generation of these, like 2013, these type of cars, I would love to have something like this as well. These are relatively affordable too for certain cars in certain price range or certain mileage ranges. I've seen a few go for around 13,000 with below 130,000 miles. Again, a lot of car for the money, and supposedly these are pretty reliable. Transmissions are supposed to be really good. DMGs or whatever they're called. The only thing I don't like about the Audis, this and actually the Golf R, I've been interested in. The newer ones, like something like, I think it's 2016 above, but the newer ones I really like. Um, Something like these. The only thing I don't like about them is that they have the direct injection, which you have to do like the valve blasting or whatever to get the carbon off every 30 or 40,000 miles or whatever it is. That seems kind of crazy to me. I mean, I guess you got to pay to play, but like I don't ever have to do that on my car. Like I don't know. I don't think direct injection or whatever it is. I might be botching that, but whatever it is that they use, I think it's direct port injection. It gunks up the valves, and you got to clean them really thoroughly. Otherwise, you get carbon deposits. Same thing on the RS4. That's the only reason that I'm kind of like iffy on owning one of these cars. I like cars that are simple, like the M113 V8s, AMG V8s that I have. They're simple. Like they're basically like German LS1s. Like they're not that complicated. They're single overhead cam. They're like easy to work on. Like I don't know. I just don't like to overcomplicate stuff if I don't have to. So if I can have just as much fun with my car and it requires less attention than something like this, and these are way more money, that's why I don't think I'll ever sell the C55. So yeah, that is it. Different type of video, but I thought this would be fun. Give you guys a little more insight as to what kind of cars I like and interests I've had. I've had all kinds of cars. I've had JDMs. I've had domestic, only one or two domestic actually, but I've had German cars. I've had all kinds of cars. So we'll do another video, all the cars I've owned. It's got to be close to like 10 to 15 at this time, but yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Got more coming up. Working on the cars this weekend. So see you guys then. Thank you for tuning in, and stay safe. The S65 is another one that I would really love to own someday. This generation, the kind of second iteration of it. Crazy power. The V12 in it is supposed to be really solid. A little bit difficult to work on in some senses, but man, I would love to have one of these. This is another car that's just like, for the money compared to how much car you're getting, pretty crazy. I've seen a lot better deals in this as far as mileage and price, but just giving you guys, this is a pretty clean example. I like the color scheme. Black wheels look pretty good on it, and simple black interior. So, and then one other one I forgot to mention, I'm actually going to keep my eye out for these in the next couple years as they kind of depreciate, because a lot of car for the money again. All-wheel drive, twin turbo V6. This is one of the rare occasions where Mercedes announced this as an AMG model, and then later actually made the C43 AMG, which I thought was weird that they used that moniker again. But this is basically that car before they made that car. So another one I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for as they kind of drop in value. So anyways, a couple honorable mentions.